Good morning, friends. The breakfast line is open, and so help yourself. We'll have more people arriving soon, so let's go ahead and get you served to make room for them without having to wait very long. This means you. Movement toward the breakfast line. You can keep talking as you walk. That didn't work. Let me try something else. Go eat. Still not there. All right. Y'all will figure it out. And when you do, make sure you thank our serving line. Guys, these are the most hospitable folks I've ever worked with. Good morning once again to everyone. Let me have your attention for just a moment. Oh, I need you to sing a song. Nobody, well, maybe if I sing a song, that'll really get their attention. There you go. They'll say, what is that? I have a thought for you all this morning. If you can put pause on your conversation for just a moment. I think probably almost everybody has seen, or maybe even yourself presented, this old classic illustration that says, if you take the unimportant tasks of life and fill your life with that first, and then with the things that are kind of medium important, that you are never ever going to have any hope of fitting in the important things. You've seen this before. You know how this works. That's just not going to work. But if you take the same number of the same kind of rocks and you place the important things first and then place the things that are not quite so important, you'll find places for all of the other tasks of life and everything fits. So, same number and size of rocks, doesn't fit here, but if I arrange it properly, it fits. You've seen this before, right? Today, I'm here to tell you about part 2 of this illustration. Because once you have found a place for everything to fit, once your jar is properly proportioned, there's a problem. It doesn't stay done. Because new tasks come in. You have a new baby. You have another assignment at work. Somebody has gotten sick. And so suddenly you have more rocks to fit into that same jar. And so what are you going to do? You have more rocks, or even the rocks that are there might change in size. Maybe you've gone from full-time to part-time. And so that rock isn't as big as it used to be anymore. It could be that not only do the tasks, the rocks, change in number and size, but even the very jar that represents our capacity to do all these things, that jar changes size. Maybe I have developed some new skills, or I have retired. And so the things that filled my previous jar would leave some empty space in the new jar because now I have more capacity. And so I need to reevaluate once again. On the other hand, it's possible that there are things that happen in my life, perhaps illness, perhaps compassion fatigue. Things happen that reduce the size of my jar. And so everything that used to fit doesn't fit anymore. So the thing is, this illustration is static. It looks like everything is done and complete and finished, but actually it's alive. It comes and goes. New rocks, rocks set aside, and the jar changes. So what do we do when we find ourselves in a season of diminished capacity for whatever reason, particularly because of compassion fatigue? Well, we come to Barnabas Breakfast and we listen to Jeff Frey. So that's part of the reason why you're here this morning. That can inform your table discussion as you're eating breakfast, and soon we'll kick into gear with the rest of our morning. Thanks for being here. Now you can talk. Good morning once again. I have heard that traffic today is crazy with a capital K. Some of you may have experienced that on your way in. And so we're going to go ahead and start and then just welcome the others that arrive, make room for them at your tables, and everything is just going to be fine and smooth. My name is Nancy Penny, and I am the executive director of Fellowship of Barnabas Partners. Yes, what can we say? This is an organization that equips Christians to help nonprofits. Let's come back to this. There we go. We do this in a lot of different ways. And, boy, it got so quiet. Let me tell you about some of those. We get together once a month. We talk about how to make the organization better, how to be even more effective. What are the things that nonprofits need? What are the things that business people can do to help nonprofits? How can we overcome the obstacles to working together? How do we learn more about each other intentionally? How do we network together in such a way that we don't leave any holes between the communities that we serve, but then we don't have unnecessary redundancy? How can we glorify God more? There is so much good that is done in the context of local churches. And there is so much good that is done between the influence of local churches. For many of you, that's the space in which you operate day to day. I want to talk a little bit about who is in the room. Every time that we ask this question, we look at it from a different point of view. Today, when I went through the list of people who are registered, I counted, I'll let you guess the number. How many nonprofit initiatives are represented by the people who registered for this morning's breakfast? 74. Now, sometimes some people are involved in a couple of things. 74, can you believe? I counted 46 different business interests. And some of those business professionals are here in the room because of their interest in serving nonprofits. Attorneys, tax accountants, web designers, leadership coaches, insurance salesmen, all kinds of folks who want to help nonprofits thrive, want to smooth the way. Sometimes those professionals are able to help nonprofits on a pro bono basis. Sometimes it's at a reduced rate basis. Sometimes it may even be at a full rate basis, but they share your mission. And don't you appreciate having professional help from someone who knows your heart and also wants to serve the Lord? I wish I could arrange a way for everyone who is in the room this morning to have an intentional conversation with everyone else who is here. We're working on a way to make that closer to happening. I'll tell you more about that at the end of the meeting. But for now, let me encourage you to lean in to the conversations with the people that are right there in front of you. It may be that you have something to offer that person, and so be listening in the conversation for that thing that you have that's going to help them. It may be that you have come today with a need, a real obstacle, something that is in your way. Be bold to ask the people that you meet, do you know anybody who can help me with this situation that I'm facing? We have such an opportunity with kingdom-minded people here this morning to network together, to grow together, to build the Fellowship of Barnabas Partners. And in order for that to happen, we're going to have to reach out both with the resources that we have and the needs that we have. Let me encourage you to take that step this morning. Now, I mentioned that our partners meet every month to talk about how to do this better. Our partners have all kinds of things. When I say partners, I mean those who have invested in the organization. They have so many other benefits. We have our own partner newsletter. We have partner badges. You'll see those on your placemat there. And so our partners can use digital versions of that on their website or on their email, kind of, elevates the kind of things they belong to. Our partners know more about about the activities that are going on in the other organizations represented here, and so they are better able to network with each other and then with the broader community. So we have all that going on behind the scenes, but 4 times a year we throw open the doors, we have a big breakfast, we say, come on in. Anybody who wants to can come to these breakfasts. And when you come here, you'll not only get to meet our partners, you'll tell who they are because it's written on the badge that they're a partner, but you also get to meet each other. Sometimes there's an idea that the business people are here to help the nonprofit people. The more I get to know the nonprofit people, the more I learn from them. And so you will find that no matter who it is that you talk to, they've got something to offer you, and again, you have something to offer them. Well, let's see. I took this a little bit out of order, but you'll get the idea. If you have registered for this morning's breakfast, then you will automatically be on the email list to get our general newsletter, that beyond the partner newsletter. This general newsletter goes to 1,100, 1,200 people in the Houston area who are interested in helping nonprofits thrive. So that's nonprofit staff, nonprofit leaders, nonprofit board members. It's members of the kind of professional community that we talked about before. It is leaders of churches, particularly those who, as part of their DNA, foster and then launch nonprofit organizations. And it's got a really high open rate because people want to know, what are you doing in the Houston community? And when you read that newsletter, you'll find out. You'll see space for our partners to talk about, I need a warehouse to send supplies to flooded Central Texas. We're looking for a new board member, and here's the characteristics that person should have. Celebrate with us. We've been in operation 10 years. Whatever our partners want to communicate to that broad audience, they're able to do that by placing an ad in the newsletter. They're also able to put flyers in the bags. And so you've got flyers and merch and goodies, and you can go through the bags a little bit later. But that's a perk for the partners to be able to let all of you know about activities they have coming up. Let's see, we're going to hear in just a moment from Dr. Jeff Frey. He's the founder of an organization called Vitalization Wellness. And he and his talented wife, Stephanie, are both here this morning to present to us on, he's going to present on the idea of compassion fatigue, and they're both available to talk to you. She is also a mental health professional who is just right alongside him. And guys, I thought I wore a lot of hats. Wait till you talk to the Freys. We will begin that in just a couple of minutes. Let me allow you to go ahead and finish a little bit more of your breakfast. We're expecting a few more people, and some are coming in now. And then we'll incorporate those folks and get started with Dr. Frey's presentation in just a few moments. Enjoy your breakfast, and I thank God that each one of you is here this morning. Okay.
name above all names. Fire in his eyes, healing in his veins. Everywhere is glory on display. Take a look at those stars, you can name them all. Before his throne, every knee falls. The demons have to run, the angels have to praise. Even the wind and waves obey our God. He's an awesome God, he reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God, he reigns with wisdom, power, and love. And even when I ran, he didn't run away. He came and put death back in its place. Friday on the cross, broken from my shame. Sunday morning rose up from the grave. Take a look at those scars on his hands and feet. He saved our souls for eternity. Worthy is the Lamb, glory to the King. Oh, let all the saints and the angels sing. Our God is an awesome God, he reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God, he reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Eyes on the sky, there will be a day. He will come and wipe our tears away. No more fear, no more pain, no more sorrow, sin or shame. The King is coming back again. A reign of love that will never end. For everything you've done and everything you do and everything you are, I'll sing to you. My God, you're an awesome God, you're great. In all you do, I'm made to worship you. My God, you're an awesome God. What an awesome, awesome God you are. No one like you, none beside you. God, we worship you. You're worthy, with wisdom, power, and love. Oh, forever we sing. Our God is an awesome God, he reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Yes, our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. Our God, what an awesome. Come on, everybody, put those hands together. I'm amazed that you can be so many things for me. Everything at the same time. The perfect one of a kind. How do you sit so high and stay close by my side? How do you never change, but new every morning? King of the world, yet lonely in heart. There till the end, you're there from the start. You are the Lion and the Lamb, both God and man. Lord, and you're my friend, Jesus.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, everybody. Good morning. All right. I hate to stop the conversation, but I also would hate for you to not hear what I have to say. So I'm going to just roll right along here. It's 8 o'clock, and I hear we do things promptly. So that's great. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. And thank you, Nancy, for having me here. Really encouraged by the conversations that I've had already in the room, and so excited to be able to talk to you this morning about the compassion fatigue, right? That's the terms that I was kind of given with Nancy. We were going back and forth on what we could talk about, and that's it. So real quick, before I actually get started, I'd like to talk about something obvious because 20 or so of you have already asked me. I have this on my hand, and so you kind of see this, and people walk up. What's the first thing you do when someone walks up to you and you see this? You do what? You go, okay, what happened? That's pretty straight. That's really forward. A lot of over here. I heard somebody say, oh, I'm sorry. What happened? So thank you for saying I'm sorry. Wow. Geez, what if I don't want to tell you what happened? No, I do want to tell you what happened. I actually do want to tell you what happened. In fact, let's look at it real quick. So this is my hand. This goes this way, if you don't know what you're looking at. And apparently that little line is supposed to be connected to that little line, and it's not. And so I have this on my hand now. You'd say, what happened? So people ask me, well, what happened? Actually, nothing happened. The doctor calls it an overuse injury. An overuse injury. It's my hand. I can use it as much as I want to. I mean, why would you have an overuse injury? So it's an overuse injury, and it happened a couple months ago, actually, and it's hurt for a long time. And so I tried to push through it, and I didn't quite get all the way through, and still hurt. So I finally went and saw the doctor. I saw the doctor, and doctor took this picture and said that you have to wear the brace. And so I've got this brace, and I feel really awkward. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go speak. And I don't want this on my hand. I'm going to just feel awkward. It's like, oh, no, you have to keep it on your hand. So whatever's happening in my hand, it's stitching itself back together. And if I take the brace off, I could ruin 1 week's of stitching by just moving it around, right? So you got to keep the brace on. So I feel really awkward about doing that. But in time, 4 weeks-ish, I get the brace off, and it's supposed to be good as new. And then I can overuse it again, apparently, as much as I want to. So for those of you not taking notes, I don't see many people with their notebooks out or anything. Let's talk about this. It's an overuse injury, trying to push through it. I finally got help. I have to have this brace. It feels really awkward, and it'll be back to good in no time. Okay, well, thank you for coming. I appreciate the talk, the time that I've given you, and any questions or anything? No? What's the topic again that I'm supposed to be talking about? Oh, yeah, compassion fatigue. Well, let's go through my agenda. My agenda is it's an overuse injury. You're trying to push through it lots of times, right? And you finally have to go get help. Might have to brace yourself, might have to find a brace. It's going to feel really awkward, not caring about things for a while. It's going to feel really awkward, but you will be back to good in time. Make sense? Y'all see what I did there? Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff, right? Okay, let's go through. This actually is my agenda. We're going to talk about it. So it's an overuse injury. A little bit about my background. Tech guy, heads down coder, shove food under the door, don't make eye contact with people. That's who I was. I got a master's degree in computer science a long time ago. And then eventually through life, went back to go get a PhD. And people asked me, what are you going to go get your PhD in? And I decided that I would get my PhD in nonprofit organization leader health and well-being. So I actually have a PhD in emotional intelligence focused on nonprofit leaders. So you are my research study, basically. I study you all the time. So odd thing for someone like me to go do. So I teach at Rice. I teach at University of Houston in the business schools there, and I teach emotionally intelligent leadership and artificial intelligence programming. So it's got this kind of weird thing going on. But the emotional intelligence side, you're going to get a little bit of Professor Jeff this morning, if that's okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about neuroscience. I'm going to talk a little bit about some statistics and things. So it's not all touchy-feely. It is a little bit of stats here. So I just share a couple with you. So 95%, this is last year, and this is Center for Effective Nonprofit Philanthropy that studied this. 95% of nonprofit leaders report that staff burnout from actual compassion fatigue is a major concern of theirs. That's a big number. Like if you said, oh, okay, even if it's a made-up number, right? Because we know it's like, well, 95, is it 8? I mean, it's a lot. Even if it's not 95, I mean, 90, 80, that's a lot, right? And so I just look at the definitions real quick. So compassion, and you can read slides as well as I can. I'm going to read them to you real quick. Compassion, the emotional capacity to recognize suffering and the motivation to act to relieve it. So that's the instinct that you have when you walk up to me and I have this on my hand and you go, oh, sorry, what happened? Sorry, not just what happened. Sorry, what happened? That's that instinct. I want that instinct. We want you to keep doing that, right? You have that. That's the instinct. But what is fatigue? Fatigue is a temporary state of physical or mental exhaustion that resolves with rest. So that crash you feel after a long week, I had some friends that had a gala recently, right? And so you go the next day, you sleep in a little bit, you rest the next day, and you have that kind of feeling. That's fatigue. That's what happens. What's compassion fatigue if we combine those two? A form of, and get this is an actual clinical definition, traumatic stress that occurs when ongoing exposures to others' suffering at the top, that compassion, outpaces your ability to recover, that fatigue or that crash that we talk about. So what's happening is, and you've heard, you did a great job with the sand and the rocks and the thing in the cup. You've heard terms like, well, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? You need to fill your cup before you pour it out. Theoretical, those are good, but this is biological. This is actually things that happen in the brain. So when you find yourself helping but you don't feel anything, there's emptiness there. That's what you get. So when I say it's an overuse injury, you have to be using something. What are you using? It's your empathy muscle. And that's, again, a lot of chemicals inside of your body that make you feel that way. Some people feel it naturally, some people don't. I have 2 children. Wesley is 13 and Colton is 11. Wesley can watch movies and go, that was a great movie. Colton, when someone is going to get caught doing something, like they're in an office they shouldn't be in and they're rummaging through the files and the footsteps start to come down the door, Colton puts the covers up over his eyes, and sometimes he'll plug his ears because he doesn't want to hear what's going on, and he'll close his eyes a little bit and say, what are you doing? He's like, nothing, I'm good. He's got that empathy muscle. He puts himself in the shoe. He feels like he's going to get caught doing something bad, right? He just feels that. Some of you, when I walk past you with this, when people walk past you in the hall, you just feel it, right? And that happens. And so as you're feeling that, as you have and exercise that muscle, that's that empathy muscle. So it's the result of caring more than your recovery allows. Make sense? Everybody still with me? Yeah, okay, all right. So this is physiological. I put a bunch of things in here. You'll get the slides later. But let me just go through a couple of them. Dopamine drops in your body when that happens. So your brain actually stops rewarding the empathy. Normally when you have that hit, you look at it, you got empathy and there's joy in it, but sometimes there's not, right? The oxytocin fades. So when you have prolonged stress, oxytocin actually connects you to the work. In my research, people who have a personal mission that connects to a professional mission so closely tend to give themselves over to the work more. Does that make sense? I'll say it again. So does your personal mission connect to your professional mission so closely that you would give yourself over to it more so than just in general? I mean, I took my truck to go get it fixed. The guys that worked on my truck, they're great guys, I'm sure. They gave it back to me. I drove it home. I don't think they're at home at night before they go to bed going, man, I hope that guy's truck is okay. Like, I'm really worried about it. Jeff's such a great person, and I don't know if he's going to be, maybe I should call him. Should I call him? He's not doing that, right? And that's not a problem. What I'm saying is when you have work that you are in that is connected to your person, you think about it more. You give yourself over to it more. I don't want you to stop that, okay? In my research, I call that sacrifice, and we sacrifice ourselves a lot. My issue is that people think that sacrifice is mutually exclusive from self-stewardship. And so what I would like you to do is be able to sacrifice and self-steward at the same time. They are not mutually exclusive, okay? So we'll get into more of that. Cortisol, that spikes when there's chronic load. You're in flight, fright, flee, whatever it is, right? You're doing those. Some people have freeze, right, where they just stay numb kind of thing. When that stays heavy, that's what happens. You just stay in that mode a lot. And then last one, serotonin drain. So your mood, your patience decline. This is what I call the whatever drug, the whatever chemical, right? So when that goes away and someone comes up to you and says something, you go, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't really care anymore. That's what that is. Make sense? Okay. What it is not. So sometimes people think, that compassion fatigue, there's certain things in it. I'm going to just give you real quick. It's not that you don't care anymore. You still care, right? It's not that you've lost that. There are things inside of you that maybe you feel like you don't care, but you really do. It's not because you're weak. It's definitely not because of lack of faith, okay? I'm in a unique position here that I can talk to you about certain things that I can't talk. And I give this at Exxon. I talk about this at Exxon. I talk about this at NASA and things. So I get to talk to you about some things that I wouldn't get to talk about with them. It's not a lack of faith, right? This is not what that is. It's not something you can fix with a nap. So, I'll go to sleep and I'll be better. And it's not a problem you can work out with whatever you do. And we do lots of stuff. So I'm telling you this because I don't want you to feel guilty if this is happening to you, right? This isn't something that this happens a lot to individuals that are in this profession, in these professions, helping professions. And when I say helping professions, I mean, we talk about nonprofits, but my wife and I, we'll talk a little bit about her in a bit. Stephanie is a marriage and family therapist. She's a licensed professional counselor, clinical therapist. I am married to a marriage counselor. That's a whole nother talk that we could have later. Love you, honey. And what's going on there, she's in private practice in Rice Village, and she actually owns the Vitalization Wellness, the company that we have started. And what I'll say is when she sees people in crisis, she can tell them, hey, this is how you treat each other. But a lot of times they still go home, and the problems that are there are still the problems that are there. Individuals don't necessarily come back and say, hey, we've fixed all our issues. We've got it. They're continual problems. My truck shows up, the light's on, the dashboard, I take it to the mechanic, they fix it. The light comes back to me, the light's not on anymore. Awesome, we're done. Yay, check the box, that was a transaction. When folks go to see her, sometimes that doesn't happen, right? And when folks go to see you in nonprofit organization leaders in your businesses and your companies, there's a lot of times that individuals, it's just not a solvable problem overnight. It's something we might have to brace, we might have to take time, and that's the kind of stuff that you think about. So over a long time, don't feel guilty if over time you start to numb about that person that continually is coming to you, that I can't fix that, right? That's okay. You don't have to feel guilty about that. So that's the overuse injury part. Let's talk about trying to push through. I'm asking if, let's see, you don't have to out yourself here. I'm asking if you've ever seen any friends that have compassion fatigue. What do they do? What do they do that maybe not be a healthy thing to combat that? Anybody? Audience participation. I'm not. Say again? Neglect family, right? Okay, so you leave that behind and you're going off doing that. What else? Addictions. Addictive personalities might run to something like that. What else? Netflix. You don't have to raise your hand, but Netflix. I heard isolation, which a lot of times can be Netflix as well, right? Isolate yourself with Netflix. That's not isolate. That's not Netflix. What else? Stay busier. Push into it, right? Do more. That's very good. What else? What else do we do? Poor nutrition. Eat junk, right? I love that. Like, that's what I do. But eat junk. Yeah, these are a lot of the things that we do that we know we do them, but we still do them when this stuff happens. clinically, I will tell you, we've already said this, go numb, over-exercise. There's guilt in there. Hey, bottom left-hand corner, Netflix. Ta-da! Fake it, caffeine, pray harder, scroll, death scroll, right? Start scrolling and things. These are all things that we do. Absolutely. And they work for like an hour or maybe a day. But then you're back to it, right? You can't do this forever, and you know that. These aren't things that you can do that are healthy, right? So you know them, we all do them, they work for about a day, but really what's happening physiologically, again, your hormones actually never recover. And so I'm talking clinically here, and I'm in a room that has a spiritual group of people. And what I'll say is we do our jobs. Like, I believe that God does a work in me, absolutely. But I have to get up off the couch. He expects me to do that. He tells me. Now, he might tell you stay on the couch for longer. That's fine. That's fine. Because that's between him and you. But for me, he's telling me, hey, don't run on faith fumes. That's what I call it. I had one time where we're driving, my sons are in the car, we're going camping, and we're out in Nowheresville, Texas, and the fuel light comes on. Dad, you gonna stop for gas? Oh yeah, we'll be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's fine. And we literally rolled in. I put it in neutral. We rolled up to a gas tank, a gas station. It was like clunk, clunk, clunk. You heard all the clunking and everything. And I put it in neutral, and we rolled up to the pump, and I'm like, just like I planned it, right? Just like I planned it. And the kids will not let me live that down. Like, whenever the fuel light comes on, like, Dad, we need gas. I was like, I know. Boy, they were really traumatized by that. I don't recommend that when you're driving your vehicle, nor when you're driving yourself. When you're in your work, please do not run on fumes, right? Don't roll up to that gas tank, that gas station with an empty tank. So that's how we usually try to push through. Okay, I finally got help. I told you that story about me doing that. So what does that look like for this? Now, highly research-based. The things that we try to do ourselves don't work for everybody. For the general population, interestingly, the irony of combating compassion fatigue. The irony is you need to go find a compassionate person to help you. I'm so sorry to have said, you're all like looking like, what can I do this afternoon? You got to go talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be my wife. It doesn't have to be a professional. Here's some ideas. A safe friend who actually listens to you. Not the drainer friend that you have. We all have a drainer friend. Everybody have a drainer friend? Yeah, don't go to them. Nope. No. You need the other one that you can drain. Okay? You need that person in your life. Go find them. And if you don't have that person, you can pay somebody, right? Peer debriefing. There's other people that are going through this. Honestly, 2 people with compassion fatigue can get them each other out of the compassion fatigue. That's a real thing. It happens. So it's not like you have to have, a super healthy person talking to. No, you can both be at the same level and work your way up through it. Coaching or counseling, we talked about that. Prayer teams, communities, any type of Sunday school class, those small groups, the people that you're close with that are safe. And I put safe at the very beginning. I call those, in the research, we call those resonant relationships. People that you resonate with back and forth, that get you and you get them. You need those. It's a safe place to be able to do that. And then even accountability mentors. Some folks, like myself, we're doers, and so we feel like we need to have some homework afterwards, things like that. Coaches and things can give you those. But even just accountability, if you have the right setup, which we'll talk about in a second, if you have the right setup, an accountability mentor can do that. Does this make sense to folks? So again, the irony is to fix compassion fatigue for people, you actually need people to help you fix the compassion fatigue. Not the people that you're fatigued about, but people that you can fatigue yourself and go to them. So this happens, this is well researched, not necessarily not a whole lot of research in nonprofit organizations. I don't know if you know that, but there are not a lot of papers, journals, that kind of thing. I'm trying to publish a few papers myself, and it's unique. It's a different spot. Lots of clinical research, right? So there's a lot based on nurses, doctors, folks like that. And I put a little note in here that in clinical nurses, in a study, this is just very recent, that social support mediated the relationship between empathy and compassion fatigue, 52% of the amount. That's a fair amount. To say that's over half. Like I'm mediating the compassion fatigue. Here, me as an individual, I'm helping somebody and I'm fatigued. If you put a human in the middle, I'm better 50-some% of the time. I can do better, right? And so that's what that's saying. So for me, help is really the only way to get past it. If you can find an actual person to help you through that. All right, had to brace. Let's talk about bracing. When you get help, if you try these things yourself, and the reason I put help and then brace afterwards, if you try these things yourself, probably not going to be too successful. You need to have that accountability person. You need to have somebody to talk about it with and things. But I'll give you these. So my caveat here is I'm going to give you this slide, right? And you're going to go, oh, I just need to rest more, or I put boundaries in place. Yes, absolutely, do that. But while you're talking to somebody about it, while someone is encouraging you through these. So one is rhythmic rest. Some of us are not intentional about rest. A lot of the research in people in helping professions, and these are doctors, nurses, pastors, counselors, these are even lawyers, attorneys, wealth managers, those types of people who are in a position to help another person, but aren't necessarily going home and doing that work themselves the same. They're helping. That intentional rest, intentionally scheduled rest, and when I say that, the variety and the frequency matter. So I rest sometimes, probably why this is here, I rest by doing exercise. So I rest at the gym. It calms my brain. I run a lot, right? I do the battle ropes, which is probably this issue. But as I do those things, I kind of zen out, and it helps me rest, right? And it does that. If I did the same thing every morning, let's say I went for a run every morning and I ran 3 miles or so. When you do that physically, your body, you're doing a lot of wear and tear on your body. So typically what you do is you cross-train, right? You say, okay, well, I'm going to do that this day. I've done some triathlons, so we've got running, and then we've got some swimming, then we've got some biking, then I go back to running. Hey, that keeps my physical health. Think about the same thing when you think about your mental, emotional health. Think about the same thing. If you do this same thing all the time, every day, it actually becomes less of a help to you. So the variety, so what I would suggest is you find 5 things that really, really help you rest, 5 different things, and schedule them throughout your week, day, week, month, year, and schedule them during the day. Schedule not just at night after you get home. When can you take a lunch and do that? When can you do it in the morning? When you can do it at night? That actually helps you more so than if you did it at the same time, same thing, the same time every day. Does that make sense? So intentional, rhythmic rest. Boundary systems. I don't have to tell you all about that. It's hard to set boundaries up, right? But you when I say boundaries, what is yours to carry? What is actually your responsibility? And then what can you, I don't want to say push off to others, but what can you let others carry themselves? Meaningful renewal. These are storytelling. This is getting back to why. I meet a lot of individuals who have compassion fatigue, excuse me, but they are removed from the work. So they're actually in leadership, like isolated in leadership, and there's some compassion fatigue there. You think that it has to be just about people who are on the front lines caring for people. It does not, right? It affects individuals that are at the highest levels of organizations. And you would think keeping them isolated from the work would help. It's actually the opposite. Putting them down with the individuals again and getting them in the work and having them do the frontline work actually reconnects them to their purpose a lot more. And then that helps their compassion fatigue. It actually helps and spark it. And then connection loops. So safe check-ins with people, we talked about that. That's just a given. I've got I had 2 slides. I switched to the $75 slide. It's been there the whole time. Sorry about that. So we have a booth over there. Here's what I'll tell you. Vitalization Wellness, we have coaches, counselors, and we do a full life assessment. So we're focused on nonprofit leader health. We're focused on pastors and doctors and helping people in helping professions. And what we do, we see the need so much that we've decided to focus in on that area. And what we have is an assessment that is all areas of life. And then when you take that assessment, we have a coaching follow-up. So today, over there in the booth, there's a QR code. If you are interested in getting one of these, I don't want anybody who needs one, I don't want you to leave. If the $75 is too much, just come over and give me a thumbs up. This is a permanent thumbs up right here. Just give me a thumbs up and say, I need one of those. And I say, good, we'll let you leave here. Or if you want to gift it to somebody. So we have lots of people over the holidays that they know a leader that could use this. You do not have to be in crisis to get this. This is a coaching, well-being kind of thing. And so if anybody needs this, I don't want you to leave here today without it. Or if you'd like to gift it to someone, we have a gift box over there and a little letter that says you've been gifted the gift of wellness, et cetera, et cetera. But it's an assessment and a coaching follow-up to just talk about these areas of life. We try to make it not awkward. That's my next thing that I'll talk about. We try to make it not as awkward as possible when we do that. So let me talk a little bit about that. Our websites, as you can kind of tell, we're focused on helping professions. We have counselingacounselor.com, healing a healer, helping a helper, which is what we're pretty much here today. We have pastoring a pastor, teaching a teacher, and more. I mean, the idea is these people in helping professions need some help, and so we're here to do that. Been around since 2014 doing this. A couple different partnerships, just to give you examples. We don't just do this for individuals. We do it like an employee assistance program for people. So the Vineyard Church recently, they have offered the service of the assessment and the coaching package to their 3,000 leaders across the organization. And then like Baylor College of Medicine, I'll be there in a couple weeks. Anybody who wants to go through the PA program there goes through the assessment, a couple of my workshops, and then we have coaching packages with them as well. Why? Because they're going to graduate, they're going to get into their profession, and they're going to go, wait a second, I don't know if I can do this. And we're giving them the tools ahead of time that when they get in there, they'll be able to do their work better, right? And it's been proven. So we've done this for 3 years, and they keep expanding the program for us to be able to do that. The idea I told you, it's over multiple life areas. We all know that compassion for someone, if you walk into the room and you need to have compassion, if you've got something else going on, it does not have to be the compassion part. It could be financially, vocationally, intellectually, mental, emotional. If you have stress going on relationally over here, it's hard not to bring that into this work, right? And so what we do is we push on all of these and pull on all of these for the individuals to kind of help them and bring this personal board of directors around them. We have specialists in every one of these areas that they can talk to if they need to. All right, so that's the plug. The reason I tell you that is because, again, it's about people. It's about people connecting with people. And it's not just about the compassion side, right? It's about all of these different sections together. All right, so if those are the braces, and we've got this brace on, we're going to feel awkward a little bit. How does that look? I'm asking you basically to go talk to somebody and find somebody that you can talk to about this. When you do that, how do you start that conversation? What is that? Hey, I've got compassion fatigue, and this guy at this conference, he said that I should come talk to somebody, so I picked you, and I'm not sure. You can blame it on me if you want to. Like, hey, he told me I had to come and talk to you. That's fine. Go do that. But what do you talk about? This is it. and again, you'll get the slides and you'll be able to talk to it. But if you just name what's going on, name the load, it does a lot. And that's a starting point, and you're there. This is what feels heavy. It doesn't even have to be part of the work, right? This is just what feels heavy for me right now. What is that? What is that thing that feels heavy? If you name that and start talking about it, you're starting the process. Again, we talked about separating kind of what's yours and what's not. Replacing more with enough. Oh, that's me all day. What's enough? Like what am I doing? What do I got going on? How late am I staying up and why? How about just enough, not more? Those rhythms we talked about, the connections we talked about, and then reclaiming purpose. And again, we talked about that a little bit. Do these make sense? I want to make sure that I'm making awkward eye contact. I can do that now, by the way. I'm making awkward eye contact with folks and getting some nods, but that's the idea. That's where we're at. Okay, good. So if that's the case, let me talk about one more thing I've got over there, is a book. So the research that I did in my nonprofit work, I've got a couple papers that are out there, and then this book was published earlier this year. I talked about mutually exclusive. Some people think that the caring and the taking care of yourself are two different things. Like you can do one or do the other. So in my research, I call the longevity of being able to stay in your work the further, and then the achievement now the faster. We were talking earlier, and we were talking about quality of life and longevity of life, right? You know, the good stuff that's happening, right? You've got quality of life, and then how much do you push? So further, faster. Think about this concept. Faster, I'm doing right now, and if I focus on that completely, probably going to burn out later, right? Further, I just focus on later, and I don't do anything today. And you don't accomplish anything. You don't feel accomplished. You don't do anything. Again, not mutually exclusive. These two things can live together. And I don't like the word balance. I don't know how many of you use balance. I don't say balance them. They're priorities, and they're both priorities. It's hard to balance something, because as soon as I start to balance something, I get unbalanced and I drop it, and that doesn't feel right. It's prioritizing both. And you can do that together, again, in your day, week, month, year. So over there, again, same type of thing. On your table, there is a book, one of the books. Somebody at the table gets that book. Nancy's going to talk about it in a minute. Somebody at the table is going to get that. I'll sign it for you, whoever gets it. Make sure I get your name on it. Books are over there. They are for sale. However, I don't want you to leave here if you need a book, okay? Or you want to give the book to somebody else. So just go over there, give me a thumbs up, take a book, and then I'll see you later. We'll all be good. So that's what's happening in the research. Here's what I'll say, and then I have one more point, but I want to open it up to questions of some of the stuff that I talked about. Here's what I'll say. These practices, I'm talking about them right now as if you're going through compassion fatigue. And some of us being here is like, that's not me right now. Great, awesome. I do not want to see you in one of our retreats later. So my wife and I have done over the last 5 years 30 retreats. We take folks in the woods that are into the woods 10 days. You can go kayaking or come see a counselor. and we have all of these things. Those are for people in crisis. If you institute these now, finding a human, right? Don't try to push through it. Finding somebody, setting up those intentional rhythms. If you do that now, you're building resistance so that it doesn't happen later. So there's not anybody who should leave here thinking, well, that wasn't for me. This is for you. Right? These things are for you, and it builds resilience to those. So compassion fatigue, it says building resilience when service starts to hurt. So I do want to do one more thing, have another point, I'll do a Q&A. But here's the other thing. That's my cell phone number. That is my email address. This doesn't have to be the last time we talk. If you have a question and you don't want to say it in front of all these folks and you just want to text me later or call me, we can take a wellness walk together in Houston somewhere or on the phone. Whatever you need, I'm around. I don't have any problem doing that for you all. So make sure you write that down. Make sure you take that. And if I get a call from you later this week, I would really enjoy it. So thank you. Let's do some Q&A. Yeah. Yeah.
First question is mine.
Okay.
So I know that you come at this from a Christ-following perspective.
Yes.
And even pastoral roles at your church.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering that when you think about this whole topic, what are the passages of Scripture? What are the stories? What are the models? What in the Bible fuels this level of understanding?
Well, I mean, I just had this conversation on Friday with someone who is struggling and going through it, and he mentioned some passages, and I was talking to him and going through it, and he said, well, you know, grace, God's grace, right? Isn't God's grace? And I said, yeah, God's grace comes to you, absolutely. Remember, there's somewhere in the Bible, right, that says your grace is through my suffering, through my weakness, your grace, my weakness. And this is a person that's the do person. And I said, this is not a problem. This is not like you're disconnected from God. God is in you, in your plight with this, right? So I'm now saying, okay, I've got this thing that I'm working on, and I'm trying to work through it, and I'm doing my work, right? But my weakness does not mean that God is going to leave me on the side of the road because of that, right? The fact that I say I'm weak is when He can come in and He can bolster that. And so my plight here with trying to push through it, a lot of times, and I put more prayer, literal study showed that thinking about it, meditating on it, or praying on it doesn't help this. Actually naming it to another person and saying that helps it more in the physical world, right? And I believe God will then come in and bless that, right? Give us that. Bring things into the light, right? And expose it and say this is what's happening and not trying to hide it. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. Does that help?
That's great.
Yeah. Questions?
So, questions like to first hear from one of our partners. If you are Carl.
Yeah, great presentation. My question is, when people, especially as Christians, whether you're in the nonprofit world or business world, but we feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders and we can't disconnect, especially we got these devices. What's your thought on that mentality? Like, man, I can't miss this phone call. I got to get another dot in. And everybody needs me. Like, what's that disconnect? How do you process that?
So and what I'll say is I can't miss that. It's kind of what you have to ask yourself why you feel like you can't disconnect, first of all. Our whys might be different. Like I don't feel like I can disconnect. Why? Well, because, and then get to your why. Most of the time in the research, the why is because I feel selfish about doing that. If I take time for myself, when we get grants, if anybody's gotten a grant before, what's the first thing that they do? They look at your overhead and they try to make that as minimal as possible. I'm fighting against that to go, well, there should at least be a portion of that for the health and well-being of the people who's working on the grant. The selfishness comes in, and I do enough of these workshops to have that written down 9 out of 10 times, that's why people don't get disconnect, because they feel like they're taking time for themselves. The research shows, and I tell my kids this every once in a while, the research shows that if you do more, if you're connected and you're working on that, well, they need me, I've got to do this, you stay up late, whatever. Research shows that if you go and you take a break for a while and you get your head right and you come back into the work, you'll actually finish it better, stronger, faster than if you would have just stayed in it. And that's people, I'd say 50% of you are nodding your head, but you don't do that. You're like, oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, you don't do that. No one does that. You just push through because you've like, oh, it's got to happen. I got to do it. It's got to be there. So I would say it's an issue with that selfishness, feeling like that, and that's hard to let go of. It takes another human to say it's okay to take that break and maybe have a support system to go around. Does that help? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Another question from a partner, Aaron.
What is
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really interesting. The pastors skew the research. So there's. You're welcome. Yeah. Yeah. You really do. I know. They skew the research. Here's why they skew the research. They feel called by God to do this work. And a lot of us do, right? A lot of us feel called by God to do the work. So they feel in the work. That connection, there's no, it's connected. Like it's in them. It's not, oh, your personal mission, professional. No, it's the mission. Like it's me. I am the mission, right? So they skew the work. They stay in the work, and they have a hard time taking the breaks, right? So I'll say, the honoring the Sabbath, taking the Monday off, all of those things are really, really awesome things in theory that we think people do, and no one does. And when I say no one, I'm making a blanket statement. I know people who do. I know people who rest. I get it. Intentionality around scheduling rest, day, week, month, year, is almost non-existent in pastoral world. You know, even with doctors, they have shifts that are insane, right? 24-hour shift, 48-hour shifts. And then they have a certain number of hours they can't work, right? They're not allowed to work. And that's interesting. Man, if we instituted that for every profession, that would be, right? But you don't. You can't. And so I will say that it's skewed. It's very skewed. Yeah. What else?
This time I would like to hear from somebody who's here for the first time. Any first-timers with a question? All right.
Yeah.
Push through.
It's awkward. Yeah, just push through it. Push
Peter.
through it. Yes.
Really spot on. I did all the things wrong with compassion fatigue, and it evolved into a full-blown depression.
Yeah.
And my question is, how do you deal with the secondary trauma on spouses and family?
Yeah. Secondary trauma on spouse. So I told this story to somebody who was here before. Let me just tell this story. So I had a leader who left on vacation with their family, and something happened at their organization. The leader left that vacation, left their family at the vacation spot, came back, and this is in Houston, came back to Houston, did the thing that they needed to do at their organization. And what was really interesting is, of course, the family goes, oh, absolutely you need to do that. Yeah, please go do that. The organization, actually, the staff members, gave them a plaque that said, hey, thank you so much for sacrificing your something, right? And pats on the back, endorphin spikes, right? The whole thing. I get to research things. So I get to interview the spouse. I get to interview the board of directors. I get to interview the staff. The spouse, as much as they want to say outwardly, oh, absolutely go do that, absolutely not. They don't know how long they're going to be together. The board of directors said, I don't think that person's sustainable. And the staff said, man, I wish they would have set the whole organization up so we could have handled that. It's almost as if they need to be needed. And so we had to call them. We didn't want to, but we had to. And so no one thought it was a good idea. Everyone said it was a great idea at the time. And the leader still thinks it's a good idea, even though all of that stuff happened. The naming that, dealing with that, talking about it, going to each one of those, I call it redeeming relationships. You can, in the research, we call it redeeming relationships, where we walk into the relationship, we say, hey, we know something was wrong here. We know something happened. I know what I was doing. I mean, I understand that. What do we need to do here? And those people might need to see people. And those people might need to see people, and those people. But again, getting people involved in that conversation and just having them, naming it, bringing it out to the light and saying, I think there's something going on here. None of those people around that leader was willing to do that for that leader. And I wish they would have. Hey, I actually don't think that was a great idea that you came back. Well, you should have stayed with your family. No one said that. Let's talk about it. Yeah? Okay.
Jeff, you said you had one more point.
I do have one more thing. one more. And it's the Back to Good in Time. I told you I was getting this off in 4 weeks. Here we go. Are you ready for more audience participation? You all have a cell phone that's by your person, or some of you are carrying around a little planner. I would love you to get your calendars out. Get your calendars out. Yep, I mean it. It's happening. I'm going to look at you, and you're going, oh, no, he's going to make us do something. Yes, I am. I'm looking to get your calendars out. Here's some things you can do with your time, okay, over the next 4 weeks. You can read my book. It's over there. There's also a webinar, an Open Rice. You can search it, Jeff Frey Open Rice, or I have links over there that I can give you on December 5th. You can buy that assessment. You can go through a coaching package with us. You know Power Tools, or anybody a Power Tools fan here? Be there? Yes, a few of us. Okay, 2 weeks from now, Power Tools for Nonprofits. It talks about all things nonprofits, well-being. So I keynote the conference. First 1,000 people through the door get one of my books, but it's about fundraising. It's about your board of directors. It's about all kinds of different things. So show up there. And then Common Table Collective. Are you familiar with this organization? In January, it's just a collective of individuals who want to help nonprofit organizations. So that's happening in January. All right, I told you to get your calendars out, not for this, though if you want to schedule some of this. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to find a small block next week sometime, just a small little block. You can go over to your calendar Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Some of you are doing it, some of you aren't. It's okay, I'm not going to make you feel guilty about not doing it. What I'd like you to do is write down the name of a person that you think you might be able to call, email, talk to, something. Make sure they know you're doing it. Make sure, don't schedule a meeting with them and then don't tell them what's going on. That you should probably tell them about something that's going on in your existence. If you need a professional, let us know. If you don't have that person in your existence. And then I want you to protect that time. And schedule it for long enough that you talk to the person or whatever you do. Schedule it for long enough that the last 5 minutes that you schedule the next one for the next week. Okay? If you can figure this out weekly, I get this off in 4 weeks. You will have, by the time I get this off, you will have done it 4 times. That is enough to have a structure in place to be able to build a resiliency from compassion fatigue. It really is. You only need a few times. 3-ish is if you talk about the right things, that's all you need. Okay? So time doesn't necessarily heal. It's what you do with the time. Right? And this is what I want you to do with the time. All right? Again, 4 weeks. I ignored it for a long time. Had to go find somebody to talk to. I want you to do the same thing. All right? And if you're going to do that, just give me a big thumbs up. Everybody? Okay? Thanks, everybody. I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Roger is waving his hand. Thank you, Roger, who says that first 10 people who would like to have that assessment covered, it's done. Okay? So y'all head on over to the table. So before we go to table discussion, I just want to put this in context. The topics that we bring up at these quarterly breakfasts, we intend to be relevant to as broad an audience as possible, with 2 caveats. First, it is scripturally based. It's based on what is going to be most applicable for people who already love the Lord and have committed to serving Him. Second, it's related to nonprofits. And so whether you are actually working with a nonprofit or whether you work with an organization that in turn works with nonprofits or whether you are exploring that possibility in your life, these are the kinds of things that we're thinking that you will be interested in. The third quarter this year, our previous breakfast, we talked about what nonprofit leaders need to know about the mental health of the people whom they serve. And we were blessed to hear from Dr. Matt Stanford. Today we turned that around and said, but what about us? Because when we are then settled, we are able to do that next. So these two are kind of bookends, they go together. But we've got all kinds of other topics, and we'll come to some of those. I want you to know that we have crafted these topics and the time that we spend this morning because these are the things that are going to be important to carrying on God's work through your hands in our community and throughout the world. So for the next several minutes, we've got time for table discussion. A couple of you are at tables that just have maybe one or two people. Please join with another table so that you can have a really robust conversation. We'll spend 10 minutes or so talking about what you have heard, what you're going to do, how you have felt compassion fatigue, how you have overcome it in the past, what you look forward to doing in the future. And then the last bit of that time, about 5 minutes, praying together at the table for the Lord to infuse the kinds of things that you've been talking about into your life going forward. Enjoy your discussion.
To worship you, my God, you're an awesome God. What an awesome, awesome God you are. No one like you, none beside you. God, we worship you. You're worthy, with wisdom, power, and love. Oh, forever we sing our God.
Friends, end your table discussion with a few minutes of prayer.
I was looking for some calm in the chaos, searching for some peace in the night. I was looking for somebody to hold me. I was searching for a little light. I love the word. God, you know that I went wild, but until you, nothing ever satisfied. I found rest in my Father for my weary soul. I will bless God the Father, Spirit and the Son. I found rest in my Father for my weary.
Well, friends, knowing you as I do, even the ones of you whom I don't know well, I know that both the discussion and the prayer will continue over the course of the morning. There are a few things I want to make sure and mention, though, in our last minutes here that we have together. First, I mentioned that we have kind of an inner circle, like our partners, the Fellowship of Barnabas Partners. It's growing, it's great. We've got nearly 70 folks. It is like all the time, more and more people want to be in this organization, and we've got some new partners to introduce to you. Jim Graham is new. He's here this morning. Woo, Jim. Eddie K. Yesmanek is here. Yeah. Roberta Meggs is a new partner. Peter Remus, here. Thanks, Peter, for both your presence and your vulnerability. Appreciate your question. And Carl Wynn is here. Who doesn't know Carl? Carl wears more hats than, you know that children's book, Caps for Sale, with a big tall sack? That's written about Carl. So if you are interested in becoming a partner, there's a QR code there on your placemat, and you can just take a picture of it, check it out. Join us. It is super, super intransible. It's easy to access our partnership. We'd be delighted to have your unique perspective, history, strengths to join this fellowship. Now, not only is our fellowship growing, but our leadership is growing, and we've got some new board members to introduce to you. Bill Baumeier, whom we know as he's far more than just the guy on the other end of the camera. Bill and his wife Gabrielle have had a long history of supporting nonprofits, both in helping them to raise funds and in giving advice and in networking them together. And so we're glad for the expertise that Bill brings to our board. We also see previous picture. Here she is again. Eddie K. Yesmanek brings a whole career of financial expertise at the corporate level to our board. And she also has been particularly involved in nonprofit work through working with Eyes on Me. So welcome and thank both of those people. They joined Dennis Turnipseed, Pam Lilly, and Mary Kinney on our board. Dennis and Pam are here. Mary wishes she could be, but she sends you greetings from Egypt, where she is today. Mary is the ED of an organization called Tying Vines that logistically connects together third world ministry areas, and some here in the United States as well, with resources in the developed world, and kind of creates legal pathways, financial pathways for that support to flow well. And so here she is with some of the other people who have traveled with her to visit one of their other end of the bridge mission points in Egypt. You may remember that she was looking for help for people to load donated school furniture into a container to go to Sudanese refugees who are displaced in Europe. Remember that story from our newsletter? Well, this is working on the Egyptian side of that. So she wishes she could be here with us, but she's doing something that's even cooler, I think. Like, hard to believe it's cooler than this, but yeah. Okay, so we've mentioned some of the benefits of being in a partner. I want to review those real quickly. First, that's the monthly lunches this Friday, reminder, all you partners, where in that one we're going to debrief this event and talk about how to improve it, who came, what did we say, what did we hear, that kind of thing. I mentioned the newsletters. You can put your things in the bag and in that newsletter. We've got those badges, but there's also partner pairs. Okay, so Gabriella's going to come on up here. Let me tell you a little bit more about this unique benefit, which is just for partners. Gabriella is going to talk about this. Whoops, let's see. Here we have Gabrielle. There you go.
Good morning. Partner Pairs, the purpose of the program is to foster collaboration, community, and learning amongst all of our partners. And we invite you to be a part of our next cohort, which starts in January. Now, what does it mean to actually be in Partner Pairs? It means that you're someone who wants to maximize your time and further get to know the partners who are in the fellowship with you. Now, just by a show of hands, who has been in Partner Pairs or is currently in Partner Pairs right now? Raise your hand. Let's give them a round of applause. They have gone the extra mile to get to know each other and learn what God has to offer each one in collaboration. Now, I have a special treat for you. I have one of our current partners in Partner Pairs. I'm going to have her come up and say how it's been for her to be in Partner Pairs and what she's gotten out of being in the program. Pam Lilly.
Hello, everybody. So glad you're here. Thank you for joining us this morning. When Gabrielle mentioned this about, 3 months ago, Partner Pairs, I thought, I don't have time for that. I don't know where I'm going to put that in my schedule. But I also have this tendency to regret things. And after each breakfast, I would regret not knowing the people around my table more. And so I just thought, this is an intentional way for me to do that. And I can just point out a few people in this room that I've had a chance to sit with and get to know their passion, their skill sets, their professions and such at a deeper level. So it was so important to me to do that because I'm a really kind of a high bonding person and I wanted to know people more deeply. And we're all a part of this fellowship, but just knowing you on the surface was not good enough for me. I wanted to know people more deeply.
Thank you, Pam. Now, Pam, I'm going to ask you a little bit of a leading question. Should the partners become part of partner pairs?
A resounding yes. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Again, we invite you to be a part of the program. We have a QR code up on the screen there. It's simple to be a part of the program. We meet for 6 months. You only meet with partners a minimum of 4 times. It's a very time-efficient way to get to know the partners in the program, and one of the best things is I guide you through it every step of the way. There's no guesswork. So if you would, pull out your phones, at least express interest in the program. I'll be in contact with you to set up an orientation meeting and to tell you how the rest of the program goes. We launch in January. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for being here.
So that's, might tip you over the edge to say, hey, I'm going to join this organization because at no extra charge. One of the benefits is partner pairs. There you go. Gabrielle is not only an enthusiastic and effusive person, but she has a coaching business that many of you have benefited from. And so for her to walk with you through this process is professionally enriching as well as being personally rewarding. So you can become a partner. You can use that QR code, or you can use the one on your sheet, so we're going to move along. I want to thank our sponsors, and our sponsors do give us some money, yes, thank you very much, but more than that, our sponsors are involved in the community. These are advocates for you. These are organizations and individuals who say, you know what, we want to equip Christians to go out and be more effective in nonprofit service. How can we do that? And so let me tell you about our sponsors. City Rise Church, as an example, just this morning said, we'll cover the first 10 people who want to go and do the assessment. That abundance of generosity characterizes this church. Several of you in the room are on staff at City Rise, or you are affiliated with a ministry that City Rise supports, and so you know firsthand what I'm talking about. There are lots of great churches in Houston. I am so glad to have involvement from many, many, many churches. City Rise is one of the ones that rises to the top to say, we want to generously, without doubt, serve our community, and one of the ways they do that is through nonprofit support. So I'm really, really grateful for City Rise. Did Roger slip out? Maybe he did. Maybe he's doing something else. Okay. You can talk to Ben. You can talk to anybody else. Okay, Sky Collective. Skylar, Nancy. There you are. Okay, both of these folks can tell you about what they do in more detail. Those placemats that you have, that's an example of Sky Collective's work. As sponsors for us, they help me to have a 2025, 2026 outlook on the world rather than maybe 2004. And so they're great. I'm grateful for their support personally as well as digitally. So go chat with them. Now, Solace Media, Sunny, Natasha. They have, from 5 years ago, Fellowship of Barnabas Partners conducted an online conference called Christian Business Leaders Against Trafficking. And during COVID, we had to do something to kind of keep going because we couldn't meet in enclosed spaces for hours at a time because that was in a time that we heard everybody was going to die if we did that. So we had an online conference. And can you have an online conference? Well, if you've got the right technical support, you can. So Sunny and Natasha came alongside us and they said, all right, this is right up our missional alley. This is right up our technical alley. We will help you pull off that conference. And so everything from graphics to making the interface work for all the participants, all of that technical side, I had no question at all about trusting Solace Media with what we did. And they have continued to be an effective partner for us. And I cannot be any more supportive. And even Sky Collective and Solace Media work together to make sure that nonprofit needs are met. So talk to both of those folks. The Leadership Exchange. These are some of the ones that offer leadership coaching. I mentioned before, that's a kind of a thread of the professionals who are in the room. And you can go to their website and find out more about their cohorts of monthly support, where they talk about best business practices as it relates to nonprofit leadership. Willie Professional Services. This is a husband-wife attorney accountant team, and they keep up with the latest in nonprofit needs. They have moved to Colorado Springs, and they said, you know what? Fellowship of Barnabas Partners, nothing like it in Colorado Springs. We want to continue to sponsor FBP, even though we are there, because we can do this digitally. So, Willie Professional Services is your go-to folks if you need nonprofit accounting help and nonprofit legal help. So, if you want to become a sponsor, you can do that, because if you do, you get that kind of platform visibility at our breakfasts, and you get printed on all of the collateral stuff, and you get to be on the website, and we get to just brag on you all the time. So if that is something that you would like to do, come chat. Now let's talk about these bags that you have in front of you. You don't have to take it apart right now. I just want to kind of generically tell you about the kinds of things that are in the bag. First, the sticker from Vitalization Wellness. Helpingahelper.com is one of those websites that Jeff mentioned. And if you go there, you will see the kinds of resources they have to offer. The things that are in this bag are from Vitalization Wellness, and they have extras of these brochures if you need them. Those are over at the table. There are also brochures, flyers, notices from various of our partners. They talk about upcoming activities. They talk about enrichment opportunities. And when you see this, look through here, you might decide, hey, I'm going to give them a call. Or you might decide, I don't know, don't really need that. But here's the thing. If you don't think you need it, don't toss it. Sit on it for just a minute. Maybe come back the next day and say, okay, I've been thinking, maybe I can use that. Or maybe I know somebody who really needs to know about that. This is valuable, far beyond the paper and the ink. The information that's here is in your hand for a reason. And so before this goes the way of junk mail, give this serious thought to think, I bet there's a reason why I got that in my bag this morning. Okay, think that through. Now, there's some other things that are in the bag. Because the Freys have gifted each one of you 2 special items. There is Vitalization Wellness Lip Balm. And so you can choose your own thoughts, but as I use lip balm, particularly if it says Vitalization Wellness, I'm going to be thinking, may my words be as soft as my lips. You know? All right. And here is a squishy ball. The ball says focus, listen, breathe. Put this where you can see it and use it regularly. And when you do, remember not just focus, listen, breathe, but think, where did I get this thing? Oh, that was that time that Jeff Frey talked. I remember what else he said. Ooh, did I find that block of time? Did I follow up? And let's see, he spoke at Fellowship of Barnabas Partners. Yeah, that thing, that breakfast. And so this is a real valuable ball, not just for the squishiness, not just for the stress relief, but to remind you of the things that we've been talking about this morning. Okay. I mentioned that we try to find topics that are relevant to the entire nonprofit community. You know, we in this room are Christians. We say we are motivated by following Christ. Some of us are called to work in a nonprofit space, which may or may not be overtly faith-based. Many times we have people come from the Alzheimer's Society, from the Red Cross, from other kind of secular organizations. Sometimes you might find yourself in a position of leadership for your homeowners association or for your school board. Shine the light that you've got into whatever dark areas of the world you can find it. And so, whether your organization is primarily about evangelism or it is doing some other good work in the name of Christ through these hands that God has given you, go for it. And sometimes when we have nonprofit organizations that just get their focus on and they grind day after day and they're trying to not be worn out and they're hearing all this about compassion fatigue, but there is just so much to do. One of the things that can help is to realize you are not alone. The United Way tries to keep up with how many nonprofit organizations there are in Houston. And even if you eliminate churches, and even if you eliminate people who filed a 501c3 and never really did anything with it, there are still somewhere between 10 and 15,000 nonprofits in Houston. Can you name 15,000 nonprofits? I can name 15,000 nonprofits. I mentioned that we have 70 and more represented in this room this morning. And even with that many nonprofits, you would think all I do all day long is bump up against nonprofits, but you don't, because you're so focused on what you're doing, you forget that there are other people out there who are doing similar work. Next breakfast, we're going to focus on how to constructively collaborate together as nonprofits. What are the things that I don't need to do because you're already doing it? Let's work together. What are the elephants in the room that maybe keep us from collaborating together? What are the things that I'm doing just because I don't have any clue that somebody else is already doing that? And so whether our interface is geographical, somebody else in my very community, or maybe it's somebody else with the same mission that I need to talk to because they're doing it in Spring and I'm in Deer Park, or maybe it's somebody else that has the same delivery system. You're already speaking in schools? I would love to speak in schools. Can you hook me up? And so there are many ways that we can knit our work together and become collectively the nonprofit body of Christ. If we could only figure it out, because I'm not really sure what you need compared to what I can get from you, and how are we going to do that? Good news, because this next breakfast is going to be about nonprofit collaboration, and fittingly, the presentation will be made collaboratively because we have this panel who will be coming, none of whom are able to be here today, but they all are excited about being here in February. Also, between now and February, we are working on some digital tools that will help us discover what we have to offer and what others need. And so trying to not just do this by meeting people at a breakfast and not just by asking Nancy, hey, who do you know that can help me with blah, 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 but we're trying to make this be a little bit more technically robust. So watch the newsletter for information on how you too can opt in to that kind of a platform where we can integrate our fellowship with nonprofit needs around Houston. And if you are interested in helping us to design that platform, whether your expertise is technical or whether you just have some good structural ideas, come talk to me about that, because we see that as something that can really, really help our work as we are continuing to grow our fellowship. All right, how are we doing for time? So this morning, we know you're all on social. I would love, a couple of things before I get to that part. There is a book that the Freys have made available to each one of your tables. And here's the deal. You get to decide who at your table gets the book. You can offer it as a thank you to the person who was your discussion leader. You can give it to the person who's the youngest person. You can give it to the person who is a first-time attendee at Fellowship of Barnabas Partners. You can give it to somebody who just looks like they need it. You know, I know. But at each group, that is your task, is to decide who gets the book. Don't leave the books there. Everybody gets a book. And then you can take it to Jeff, and I imagine Jeff would be happy to sign. Jeff's giving the thumbs up. Bill Baumeier, here is Bill, is poised to collect some little video clips from you. We would love to have quite a few of you say, this is my first time here, and I am so thankful that I am here for this reason. Okay, you get to fill in the blank. Or maybe you're a partner. I've been a partner for 3 years, and I am grateful for this organization because they helped you make this connection, which led to that success, whatever story it is that you want to tell. You might detect a theme. It's Thanksgiving month, and we're looking for people to talk about why they are thankful for this organization. You might see yourself on a social media post. Okay, so come see Bill afterwards if you are able to just give us a little short clip there. If you want to post other pictures, we're going to have a screen up here. If you want to use that as a backdrop, you are welcome to put that on social and use hashtags Barnabas Breakfast and Barnabas Partners. Want to thank many people who helped pull this off. First Baptist, Houston's First, is an incredible host venue. The people, the food, the location, the parking, the look, the technical support, everything about this gives us gratitude that this is our church home. I want to thank all of our partners, Bill, my board chair, Dennis, and everybody else for being here this morning. You look like you might have something to say. Your board chair always gets to have the last word.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Well, as I'm sitting here this morning, I'm realizing that this is the last breakfast for 2025. So we're wrapping up yet another year. And when I look across this room and I see a full room of people here engaging, I can't help but just say, hey, let's thank Nancy for all that she's done this year, for making this happen. You've done a great job, Nancy.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to serve with you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. That's very kind. I've done a lot of things in my life. I've been a software developer. I've been a church secretary. I've taught high school math. I've been a children's minister. I've been a hospital chaplain. Each one of those times I thought, oh, now I see what God was doing. It was leading me to that. And the next time it's like, oh, no, all that led to this. Here I am. And I look back to all the things that I've done in the past, and they all have contributed to the skills I needed, the relationships that were important. God has been shaping me all along. Who knew? If you had asked me 50 years ago, what would, however old I am now, Nancy be doing, I would have said, that's about the time that I'll be retiring as a high school math teacher. And I thought I had it all figured out. God had a different plan. And now when I look back at my life, I think, oh, how could it have turned out any other way? Because everything just so naturally led to the next thing. So in a way, when I hear Dennis say something like that, I think, God gets the credit for all those things he did 27 years ago and 67 years ago. Well, that's when I was born. And all the things. Gave that away. Thank you for being here. Register for the next breakfast. We look forward to seeing you all on February 11th.